I started out racing go-karts when I was 8 years old. Me and my dad went to the Hunterstown Speedway, and a friend of ours was racing, so we went and watched them for the weekend. And while we were there, our friend had said he had another kart and was interested in if I could run it the next week. And so we went the next week, and I raced his go-kart, and we've been at the races every weekend since. So. I started out running go-karts, numerous wins at Hunterstown Speedway. I have a PA State World Karting win at Selinsgrove Speedway. I think I ran that till I was like 12 or 13. I ran go-karts, and then I think when I was around 12, we moved into 270cc micro at Shippensburg. And we ran that for about a year or so. And then I moved up to the 600 micros, where I had 2 wins at Trailway Speedway. We ran there, and Half Valley some. And I really liked the 600 division. We had a lot of fun doing that. And I think when I was 18 years old was when my grandpa helped us get our first sprint car. Actually, it was he went to Dara's, Cody Dara's had an auction, and my grandpa went, and then he got us a sprint car. And we went sprint car racing. He got us a 358 motor, and ran 358s. I'm not quite sure exactly how many years, but we ended up getting the win at Williams Grove. We have 2 wins at Lincoln in the 358 and 2 wins at Trailways. And just about probably 4 or 5 years ago was my first time ever sitting in a 410 sprint car. My first opportunity came for, I was driving for Claire Winnemeyer in the 3W car at Lincoln. I ran a couple races for him, and then I carried on running. I ran some other people's cars. I ran for Tony Petrofitta in the 175. I was out of New Jersey. We ran Lincoln Weekly, and then after that I was fortunate enough to drive the 2W owned by Norm Wisner and the Wisner family. And after that, I decided to put my own deal together. This is the 3rd year now of me owning my own car and building the team up to where I want it to be. Still building process, but I'm pretty happy with where we are for year 3.
Do some USAC racing when they come in. Do you like that?
Yes, I actually did the year we ran. My first year of 270 wingless micro racing was all wingless at Shippensburg. It was all wingless racing, and I liked it then. We ran the 600 wingless a couple times, really good. We ran good when we ran with them. So when the opportunity came that the USAC guys came east, and I had a sprint car and I was able to run with them, we did. The first couple years I did it with my 358 engine, and we didn't do too bad then. So now we've been trying to do it with the 410. Last year, I think we attempted to go to the Susky show and it rained out. It's kind of hard because last season I only had 1 engine, and USAC hit right in the middle of the season when my engine was getting rebuilt. But this year we actually we traveled to New Jersey. We made the show, and we had a first lap incident. But yes, wingless racing is very fun as well.
Would you like to do that, or go farther like All Stars or Outlaws?
I've been to Indiana probably at least once every summer for the last 3 summers. A guy helps with my car, and an owner of USAC team, Ken Baldwin. Great family. Actually, that's where our vacation was last summer. We went out and spent the summer with him in a week out there. The USAC people were great. The USAC racing is awesome. They're all a great group of people. However, we hopped in the truck to go to my first time out there. We hopped in the truck, and to go to his closest racetrack was 2 hours. And I told him that my farthest racetrack from my house was 2 hours. So we're very fortunate with, especially right here in York County, all the racetracks we have. So. And it's wing sprint car country, and now I feel like I'm starting to take golf on the wing sprint car ends of it. So most likely, yeah, I'd like to stay in this area and race. And the All-Star deal seems like it's starting to get going really good, and hopefully someday, that avenue, if not even the Outlaws.
Who's your sponsors?
This year, actually, well, last year I had my car was pretty blank. I wanted people to kind of know I was doing it on my own, and it was a building team, so I had purposely kind of made the car blank. We ended up getting a win, and a pretty big win at the Kevin Gobert race. That kind of revenued into this season, we picked up 2 or 3 new sponsors. The sponsor on the top wing is a local bar, Silver Lake Inn. George is the owner. Anytime if you go in there and dine and he normally walks out and sees you, make sure you tell him, you know, that you see his cars on the racetrack, as well as I think he's sponsoring Scott Easy. So he came on board, and I hope that can be a rolling thing into next season. On the front wing is Dynatech Controls. You'll see them on the top wing of the 2W car. They came to me and they wanted to be on another car, and you know, of course, I said as long as the 2W people don't mind. And they're a great group of people. They're having an event at Lincoln in August 22nd, I believe it is, out in front of there. Me and the 2W car will be there. And then another sponsor on my hood is ISSC Canson Electronics, which is an electronics company out of Tennessee. Actually, my uncle owns it, and he's been with me for the last couple of years. I got a lot of small family, close people that help me out, between even my parents still helping me out. They give me the racetrack every weekend. It's still their truck and trailer. That's not a big thing I couldn't swing and buy on my own to get to the races. So still using Dad's F-150 from when we ran micros to get there. We just do what we can to get to the racetrack every weekend, pretty much.
Any questions for Kyle? What's your favorite track?
I would say, well, I like smaller bull rings. That's what I grew up racing. I like when we go to Path Valley, but last time I didn't really like it so much. It was slicked off. It was a little tricky to get a hold of. Definitely, I like running Lincoln every weekend. I mean, we went to Port 2 weekends ago. Actually, we didn't do terrible up there, but budget-wise, I can't afford to race on the bigger tracks. So I don't have as much seat time on the bigger tracks. It's not that I don't necessarily like them. I just have a lot more seat time. I ran 2 years ago or 3 years ago, almost full time every week at Trailways. We had led the points there up until the last race. Actually, me and Mike Bittinger were tied in the last race. I ended up not getting in. Tim Wagman, who was in third in points, ended up winning the championship. So Trailways, I like running there. It's kind of a shame they don't have any more 410 races there, because we would probably be there. It's a shame there's not more 410 races at Path Valley, because we'd be there as well. But I like Susquehanna too. People say many things about that place, but it's every time you're there, it's usually a really good race. So I try and support tracks like that to try and keep them going and keep things going. And but like I said, you'll mostly for sure see us at Lincoln every week, and I like racing there because it's usually pretty racy.
I understand there's a fundraiser coming up, and are we able to make more copies of the brochures that we
Yes,
have?
actually, up here on our table where my family's sitting, there's a stack of what it's called. Actually, Matt from Beer Hill Gang, which I want to thank you for doing this for me, and also Dalton Dietrich, I believe his car is going to be there as well. Dine to donate. It's at the Quaker Steak and Lube. Yep, right here's the flyer. At the Quaker Steak and Lube on Monday, July 27th, which is, I believe, the weekend after the Outlaws are in. Which unfortunately we will not be racing that weekend because I don't have the money right now to go to the Grove. I would like to get many more laps before I turn laps at Williams Grove with the best in the business. But anyways, we're gonna have our cars there, and I think it's from 5 to 9, and anyone can get a flyer and come out and support.
Can you make copies? We're going to make copies.
Yeah, I believe anyone can make copies or print it out or do whatever. Yep. No, I don't. I believe anyone can make copies.
They don't have to be in color, do they?
Yeah, because ours up here aren't in color.
Also, there's a raffle there too. The driver will be bringing raffle prizes, so there'll be an opportunity to win prizes also.
Any other questions?
Yeah, you referred to money being an issue with the long tracks versus short track. Where's that expense come from?
Mostly that comes into play in mostly the motor game. I can run a motor, I feel, a couple more races at Lincoln Speedway on a weekly basis than I could at Williams Grove. Also just some car components too. If I was running those bigger tracks for my personal safety, I would like to replace things sooner as far as the rear end components and just some regular simple components on the car that I know when I go to Lincoln every week. I feel a little safer there anyways because I'm not going the speeds. I can tell you the same wing well, I probably jinxed myself, but the same wing I've raced all season this year at Lincoln. We went to Port last weekend, or I believe it was last weekend, and after hot laps, the center section started falling out. And while I was at Port, I had to buy a wing because my trailer, I can't take a spare wing. So I had to buy a wing while I was at the racetrack just to race the rest of the night because the speeds were so great. My Lincoln wing just didn't hold up. So, scenarios like that. I would really like to be able to set up that I could have a big track car and a small track car, and that's why I'm building my team to get to that point someday. I feel that the only way you're going to beat the guys the best in the business, like Greg Hodden and guys who do it for a living, is to race just as much as they do, and that is my goal, to race as much as I possibly can.
Matt?
How do you feel being where you are in points against some of these big teams? I don't know if everybody knows where you're at in points at Lincoln right now.
I'm assuming, I guess we're currently third in points. I can tell you, me and my guys, we don't even look into that at all because I've already been getting bit by the point bug. Like I said, when I was running through 58s that one year at Trailways, I think we won the very first opening night at Trailways. We won, and we led the points every night to the last night, and we ended up second in points. And I gave up a lot of sacrifices that year as far as other rides and as far as going to other racetracks. And I dedicated myself all to that for now a second place Trailways that didn't really, now that's not really doing much for me on my resume, you know. So yeah, we are third in points, but at the same time, Brian Monteith's already got how many wins on the season? He's checked out, and I believe Crimes is in second. At the same time, though, you still look at the names behind me, and I'm already kind of shocked that we're there. And I can tell you that I already feel that my team, I hired a new mechanic this year, Jason Helt, and the main reason I brought him on my team this year is because last year we had a fast race car, but I watched a lot of races from the trailer last year, a lot of A mains, and that was something that I had to, if I want to be able to race with these guys, I got to be on the racetrack. So he formerly worked with the 11 car and Mike Early, and I knew that that was a consistent race car, and we had been friends, and so we talked about it over the winter, and we got together, and I pretty much let him run the whole deal. I like to say I tell him, ask him what we need, I pay the bills as much as I can, and I drive it, and I want to be as clear-minded as I can be at the racetrack because I know the guys who I'm racing against, they're just as clear-minded as that, and that's got to go to the racetrack the best way we possibly can, given my situation and budget. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of good names behind me in the points stack up, but there's still a lot of racing yet to go, and that means a lot of bills to pay yet to finish out the season.
Two questions. What do you think a time trial shows, and what do you do when you're not racing?
All right, time trial shows, well, all growing up, I hated time trials because I'm a rhythm driver. It takes me normally 3 or 4 laps on the start of a feature. My guys will usually laugh at me because normally on the start of a feature, I'll drop 3 positions and then spend the rest of the race fighting them 3 positions back. This year, and a lot of that comes from not being necessarily aggressive enough, knowing that I want to keep that race car to race the next weekend and not being aggressive enough. So, but this year, I mean, we timed pretty decent a couple races last year. But I can tell you this year, the whole time trial thing's really starting to grow on me. I think every speed week show, maybe the worst actually we timed at Port was 16th. All before that it was 12th, and that was actually good enough to put us on the front row of heat races and make it into the show. And like I said, that was our main goal this season, is to just make shows. And we've been doing that, and I'm happy with that. Time trial with Zoes is a very tricky thing, especially when you're, like I said, you're racing against guys like Denny Dietrich and Greg Hodnett, who just raced the 3 nights before you, and I'm running 1 or 2 shows a speed week. It's very, very tricky, but it's growing on me, and I think the more that I build my team and get to where I'm, have a little better motors and a little better, I can afford to throw the new tires on for 2 laps. I think I'll really enjoy it because it's a game and you got to play it. And your second question, what do I do when I'm not racing? Well, I would say me and my fiance Brittany, we just bought a house. So actually bought it in August, and I just, being a racer, it's really hard to do things around the house. And since we've owned it in August, we've already remodeled the whole bedroom and remodeled the whole kitchen since we bought it. So any free time I get goes towards the house, and during the summer, that's pretty much just trying to mow the yard every 2 weeks. Yeah, so I can barely keep up with the yard, so nothing else really gets done. But I mean, my guys are really cool. That I got a good group of guys that work on the car this year. That they pretty much come to the shop 1 or 2 nights a week and can take care of that. And even if I told them, hey, my grass is so high, I need to go and mow it, they'd be cool with letting me go and mow it. Not too much free time for this guy. I work a decent amount too with my job. I'm on call. I do service work in the medical field. I fix equipment in hospitals such as sterilizers and washers. A company called Memtech Services. Actually, you'll probably see him on Brent Marks' car as well. Brent races there, or works for them. Also, a new guy who you've probably seen at Lincoln the last couple of weeks, the number 74, Dwayne Gutshaw. He works with us as well. So we're all close-knit racing people that just working this side company called Tech Services. I'm on call mostly my main account is Reading Hospital, so pretty much every day I'll go to Reading Hospital or even Lancaster General Hospital and take care of their calls. Anything in the OR, such as the operating table, the OR lights, all the audio and video. Then when the cases are done, all the washers and sterilizers that they clean the instruments with, I take care of all those machines. So pretty diversified. I like my job and what I do, but at the same time, it'd be great to be able to race full time as well.
Any other questions?
You got some in your gang, you know, might have that individual.
Yes, starting on this side is my dad, Larry Moody. He's the one who got me started into racing and has footed the bill for many, many, many years. And actually, he just over the winter built us an immaculate shop. It's amazing. If you want to see pictures, let us know. We can show pictures of it. It helps. Organization in the sport is huge, and for him to be able to do that for us and let us keep our race car there and be organized, races are won in the shop, and so I give him that he made us and built us an amazing shop this year. Next to him is my mom, Rhonda. She's the one who gets to wash all my dirty suits and stuff, so I thank her for that every week. And all the food that she prepares to go to the races every weekend. Stop by our trailer anytime, and there is a table. There's a table next to the trailer every week, normally with dessert too. That we're always offering food to everybody. And starting on this side of the table is my fiance Brittany, which on October 24th of this year we will be getting married. And I'm excited that she supports the whole racing habit. Beside her is my mechanic's wife, Denise, and she's awesome just as well for letting her husband dedicate his life to me. And beside her is Jason, and he's the man who turns all the wrenches on the thing, does all the work. And like I said, if it wasn't for him this season, I wouldn't be able to have my head in the clouds staring up at the sky and La La Land at the racetrack, just being able to focus. And like I said, even before we started racing together, we met at the National Open 2 years ago through another friend, and didn't think that I would get the chance to race with him full time, because who would have thought that the 11 car, the Lizette car that I grew up watching at Williams Grove my whole life, who would have ever thought that that team would have ever folded? But you know how tough times can be. So the opportunity presented itself. We almost didn't even actually get together because of being friends, and we didn't want the racing to hurt a friendship, and we said, well, you know, let's give it a shot. And before it would get to that point, you know, we'll be smart about it. And I love every minute of it. I mean, I trust every time I sit in that race car that everything's tight. And not only him, all the other guys who work in my car. His brother actually is my tire guy, Colby, and he does great. He lives about an hour away, and he drives once a week to the shop, and he spends all weekend with us. It's hard to find people that you know would love it that much to do that. Also we got a new younger guy that he started coming around hanging when he was younger, just to hang out and watch, and we would let him scrape mud. And his name's Patrick. And now this season We've just been, you know, he's starting out with cleaning the truck and trailer and cleaning stuff, and we're giving him one task at a time, and hopefully we can keep bringing the next generations into the sprint car world.
Any other questions?
What's the chassis frame do you run, and what do you think of the Triple X?
Triple X is actually the chassis that I run. And honestly, it's the point now that I don't even think that money's would be my decision factor. I started, me personally, on Triple X's when I first started doing the 358 thing on my own. Monteith, they hooked me up with a used car, and we had somewhat decent success with it. I wasn't sure when I brought Jason on this year. They ran all Eagle chassis, and I actually had ran Eagle chassis in the past and did pretty well. We weren't sure. I knew Jason was hesitant on how the Eagle or how the Triple X chassis would work this season, but obviously we've been on knock on wood, same chassis all season, and it's been pretty well. They, you know, people say they have their flaws with, you know, being made overseas or not holding up, but like I said, knock on wood, everything seems fit with us, and I can go and buy 2 new Triple X cars for what I can go buy, you know, say a new Maxim or an Eagle or anything else, and a guy like me, that's huge. 2 race. They do. A lot of guys do call them throwaway cars because of how they're, you know, kind of made or whatever. But I can tell you that the car that I won the Go Break with last year, that's a car we race every weekend, and it's been torn apart. It's been crashed multiple times and put back together and re-welded on frame tables, and that's the car we're still running. And obviously, I mean, well, I don't know if it's good enough to win yet because we didn't win yet this season, but it ran 3rd Saturday night. So, and when we're done with it, it is hard to resell them because, like I said, you can buy a new one so cheap. So, you know, we'll throw it on our flea market pile, and then we'll bring out a new one and see how it goes. The safety thing isn't, you know, I don't know. I mean, that's a whole issue that I'm a race car driver, and I don't like really talking about that factor. So.
Any other questions?
I don't really have a question, but I think the Moody family has been very supportive of our club for a lot of years. I know Rhonda always donates tip money from the Hoss's Nights, which we've always appreciated, and I just think you're a great family, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were at Susquehanna earlier this year, beginning of April, and all of a sudden Larry comes walking across the street, and I said, "What are you doing here? You should be at Lincoln." He says, "I saw you were up here, and I wanted to come up and pay my dues." So, yep, that's the kind of families we got here. They do everything out of their own pocket. He doesn't crash them into cars.
I don't like talking about crashing or anything safety-wise or nothing like that. It's best not to talk about it. But also, I forgot a missing link. There's an empty chair there, which would be normally could be filled by my sister. I don't know if many of you know her.
Yeah. I was going to say something.
Yep. Her name's Hannah. She's, I don't even know how old my sister is. 29. Yeah, she's 29. So I haven't seen her. I mean, we see each other only on holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. She works for Richard Petty Motorsports, travels every weekend to all the NASCAR races. She is the PR girl for Sam Hornish, who's in the 9 car. So she's been doing that for 4 or 5 years, if not longer. She was into racing just as much as the rest of our family. She had a job here in Harrisburg doing regular stuff, and one day she came home and said she had an intern position for NASCAR somewhere down there, and she picked up her bags and left, and she's been there ever since. So I'm pretty excited that I can say that, and she met a guy down there actually from the Hanover area. His name's Adam, and he works at Grouch Yates Engines doing engines there, and it's kind of cool that when they come up, that they look forward to, they come up here for vacation and they end up coming to the races and watching me race. It's pretty cool.
Thinking about getting some of Roger's throwaways?
Yeah, he built some sprint car engines, and I've already made the hints to Adam, who has a connection, but I don't think they like throwing away very much. They got some secrets that they don't want to give me.
Any other questions? Well, we got you a mug for being our guest speaker.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And August 1st, we're going to be at Lincoln, so you park her on the front stretch, and I'll give you one of them pewter plates.
Yeah, I've been trying to get one of them for a while.
I'll be down for a hamburger.
All right. Thank you.
All
Thank you
right,
very
thank
much.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.